Now I'm going to show you how to set it up on Seller Central, step by step, with everything that you need to think about when you do that. Off we go. Here we are at one of my stores. I'm going to show you how to set up the listing. First things first, you go on to Catalog, Add Products. Easy. Now you have two choices. You're either adding a product that's already sold on Amazon, then you have to put in the ASIN, UPC EAN, or you can add your own brand product. And most of the time you don't have an ASIN for that. So you just click this button. I'm adding a product not sold on Amazon. Now I gotta select the correct category. This is pretty important to have the correct category for your PPC. Like if you put a product not in the correct category, it's harder to rank it. Because if you're in the wrong category, Amazon's auto campaign, for instance, will look at different keywords that are maybe not applicable to your product when it's wrong in the wrong category. Let's say we want to sell a product in the category faucet. We search for faucet. The enter button, look what comes up. So now there's different categories in this case. You can see this here. We got water dispenser faucets, kitchen sink tabs, bar tabs, aerators, bidet tabs, tub tabs. So there's very many different kinds of faucets. So the important thing here is that we sell a kitchen faucet in this case. I'm just going to say that, and we select kitchen faucet. So make sure that you're in the right category, else you will have problems down the line. It's going to be much harder to rank your product. So this is the page you're going to see, the vital info and the offer. This is the things that you need to fill out. This is mandatory. So here you have your product ID. This should be a GSID, UPC, EAN or ISBN depending on the product. What I would recommend you to do if you're selling your own brand, which means what I'm doing is always the same thing. I'm always selling my own brand, or I'm managing brands for people who sell their own brand. In that case, we have already made a GTIN exemption, hence we do not need that. All we have to do is go into the brand, select one of the brands that we are already registered for. That's the wrong one. Here you can see it. I just selected my brand and I don't have to put in a GTIN or ISBN or any other number because I have the GTIN exemption, which that saves me a lot of money because you have to pay monthly or yearly fees to have those numbers available. And depending on how many products you have, that can cost you money. And if you are a startup, you don't want to be spending this kind of money. So I really recommend after you brand register, get a GTIN exemption for the category you're selling in, and you don't have to deal with this kind of issues anymore. The next thing they want is, of course, the title. I would recommend just making a quick title here if you haven't done your research yet. But if you have done your research here, you can just write your brand, like the title that you've already generated here. I'm just gonna use an example here. Brand, the name, product, feature, color, material, and then size. And we add the user group and location. Your title would consist of these things usually. So the next thing, we gotta write the manufacturer. The manufacturer can either be your actual manufacturer, what I would actually not recommend though. I would just use my brand name as the manufacturer. It's completely valid. I would always do this for all my listings. So in this case, I'm just gonna write brand because that's our manufacturer, right? PPU count, since I'm selling products with just one piece in the package, I'm just gonna make one. The next thing is here the offer. This is another important step. What do I want to sell the product for? How much? Let's just say we sell it for $79.99. You want to have a seller SKU. This is not dependent. Do you have an ERP system? Do you want to think about getting an ERP system when you have many products? Then making an SKU is really, really important. I would recommend you make a standardized SKU. In my case, this is usually how I do it. If this is an FBA, then I will just write FBA, the number sign, and then I write the SKU that I want to sell. So in this case, let's just make one up. This would be BB1234. Right? This would be your SKU. So every time you see this, you know what product it is and if it's sold by FBA or FBM. Quantity, since we're going to ship from FBA, we don't need to write anything here. Country of origin, very important. That's most cases it's China. So here just write China here. Condition type is new because we're usually selling new product. If you're doing something else, you select the thing that you need here, but in our Amazon FBA case, it's always new. The next thing, Amazon will dispatch and provide customer service. This is when you want to ship for FBA. So you just select this, click, And now we have nothing read up here anymore. So this is the basics that you need to upload in the beginning. You still can upload images right now. You don't have to. You can add variations now as well. Now, this is the thing that a lot of people don't know. It's really, really convenient if you make a listing to make multiple listings for the same SKU. The reason for that is it can happen to you that you get a really bad review right at the beginning, like for no apparent reason. Like a customer just had a bad day, he gives you a bad review, your listing sits there with one-star review, and it's going to be really hard to get that thing moving now. It's basically dead. It's going to take a long time to fix that. So what you can do in this case, you make from the get-go multiple variations. This is what I really recommend. You can just say, let's say, we call it the size name. We call this a size and we give the size, we give the size a name. Let's say we call it 1. Very simple. 2, 3, 4. So what this does, we will automatically generate instead of 1 ASIN now, we're going to generate 4 ASINs, which means when you send your product to your home first, and then you send, let's say I ordered 500 from China, and I'm going to send now 100 to FBA. And now within those 100, when you're selling them, the reviews go bad. What you can do at that point is you can delete one of the variations that got the bad review and keep selling the other variations. All you have to do is relabel your products that are at home. Very smart. Most Chinese sellers do that. They have multiple variations and you don't see them. That's the thing. If they're not in stock, you don't see them. In reality, they already have 2, 3, 4, 5 variations. And when the reviews go bad on one of them, they drop them off. But they keep reviews. Let's say you sell 100 products, you get 5 good reviews. You're just going to say, okay, I'm going to keep these reviews now, but the next batch I'm going to send in is going to be a different variation. Which means if the next 100 sales, your reviews go bad, you can just delete these ones and send in the next variation. The reality, the customer never sees the variations. All he sees is the reviews because they're connected. This is basically how most Chinese competitors have so many reviews. They have a lot of variations, and when a variation goes bad, they just get rid of it because right now you're connecting them, but later on you can delete the parent SKU that you're generating and then make a new parent SKU and assign those variations that we're just making except the one with the bad reviews, and this is how you keep your reviews very, very high. This is really, really convenient long term because many reviews means many sales. In our case, now I'm going to show you later how you can make this after the fact, because that's also a thing. Maybe you already have an SKU and you want to do this after effect. So we're going to make this with the Excel file later on. So in this case, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go back to, did I miss something here? Yeah, because I selected the size now, he wants a specific size or whatever. Okay, so now everything is fine. This one is already size 1. And we're just going to say save and finish. Now, of course, he asked me to sign in again. I'm going to do that. Keep me signed in. Because usually when you do some bigger changes, like making new SKUs, it can happen that you need to log in again. And not now. So now he will send me basically back to the... now we're here. Choose a barcode type. So since this is an FN SKU, we're just gonna select Amazon barcode. We're not gonna make it our own barcode. If you want to sell on multiple marketplaces, for instance, or you have an offline store as well, making a proper barcode right now is of course an option. But in most Amazon FBA sales, that's not the case. So I'm not gonna do that. We're not removing anything. We're just gonna say save and continue. And now we're gonna get an FN SKU for this. Amazon, load a second. So next thing, Amazon is going to ask you immediately when you make a FBA listing to send stock to them. We don't want to do that right now. We just want to be done with that. So we're basically done here. I'm just going to go back to inventory. Okay, this took about 4 or 5 minutes before the listing actually popped up here and was inactive, out of stock, because we didn't send anything in. And we also don't have a picture yet. But it will pop up earlier, but the FN SKU that you see here takes a couple of minutes before it pops up. And you need the FN SKU before you can send anything in anyway. But now I know the FN SKU is here. My listing is basically available. I have an ASIN. Everything is in place. So, but now I need to finish the listing. Since I hope you've watched video number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and 5 on how to make a listing. And if not, please do so now. That would really help me out and it will also help you out. But now you take everything that you've learned there. You already made the listing and this is now where you put it. We just go on edit listing. We start here with the images. This is where you can upload your images. You can either click one and upload one by a time, or you can select multiples. Then you just select 5, 6, 7 pictures you have, upload them at the same time. And then you can just resort them here and hit the save button. Then it will take a while for Amazon to actually show them because they have to go through their filters, their optimization, and they will reduce the size of them to what fits. Here is the description. So here's where you put your product description. So when you learned in video 4 how to make a product description, this is where you put it. Now here we have our bullet points. You can just click add more, add more, add more until you have 5 of them. And here you can copy paste the bullet points that you already generated for your product. Absolutely perfect. The next important thing, search terms. Now you can see this is your title up here. And down here is where you put your search words, your additional keywords. The keywords that don't make it in the title need to be here. Like for him, for her, for pets, dogs and whatnot. Like everything that is not in the title, you need to put it here. For instance, if you sell in Spain, it's a really, really good trick to also use Portuguese keywords, because in Portugal, they don't have Amazon, they buy on Amazon Spain, which means if you use the Spanish keyword for faucet, for instance, you will actually get a lot of sales to Portugal from Spanish Amazon. The same goes for Belgium. Like in Belgium, they speak French, but I would assume they probably have some different kind of slang or some different kind of dialect or words that they use there. If you know your way around Belgium and you sell on Amazon France, you can use whatever the French version in Belgium of faucet is or whatever your product is selling there. This is one of those tricks that you can use. Now, this is where you put all your keywords. Let's say my keyword 1, keyword 2, and so on. So now you have keywords here. Now, it's really, really important also to fill out these more details and also the advanced details. Like you have in the vital info, you can actually scroll down. And then you have your package dimensions, weight, PPU count, all those things, model name. It's really, really, if you have a power plug, write the power type here and so on. It's really, really good to write this in there because it's information Amazon and the algorithm will use in, like, customers are searching for some of those things. And if you give Amazon directly the information, like what color is it? Give the color here, not just in the title. Tell Amazon's algorithm directly what you are. Because what's in the title, the algorithm has to look for it. What's here, the algorithm knows immediately. It doesn't have to look for it and test it. So it's really, really important that you fill these informations out as well here in the more details. Then there's a lot of details. Depending on the category, this can be a really, really lot. Like you just go through here, like you want voltage and efficiency, materials, handle material, diameters, like there's all kinds of stuff in here. Most of it is not even applicable to your product or category, but some of it is. And whatever is, you should definitely fill out. That's really going to help you down the line. When you're done with uploading everything that's relevant to your listing, you just hit save and finish. Another thing that you can do, which I usually do every time when I start a new product, let's say $79.99. That's the price I want to sell my product to make profit, to make my 18, 20, 25% profit margin. That's maybe the price. But when you make a new listing, that's not the price you're going to sell it for because you want to rank your product. In order to rank your product, lowering the price is the standard that every Chinese seller does. We sell for no profit until we're ranked, until we got the reviews, and then we push the price up into profit. So when you see a product that's suspiciously cheap, you can just check if the listing is new, and if the listing is new, you know, oh, they're selling it for no profit. So in reality, it probably is not that cheap. They're just not making any money of it right now. So that's a good time to buy that product because you know this is the reason why it's so cheap. So you can just put a sales price here immediately in. Let's say I want to sell it for $59.99 to begin with to get the product rolling. I'm just going to select the date from today, and I'm just going to select the date like maybe 2 months down the line. This is flexible. I'm just going to make sure, like, let's sell it until end of January. I'm going to sell it for $59.99. Of course, I'm not going to sell it for this long, for this low, but it doesn't change without me knowing it. I'm going to make it until the end of January. And when it sells now and when it starts to pick up, maybe at the end of December in this case, the product will already be selling. And then I can change the sales price. I will move it up to, let's say, 64, and then I will move it up again, 69. I'm going to do this step by step by step. Normally I would recommend increasing the price on a 2 to 3 day basis and then about like €2. And you just inch it up so Amazon doesn't see, oh my God, he increased the price by a lot and I'm not going to show this to people anymore. Because the sales information that Amazon has is the product sells for $59.99, and you have a lot of sales for that. When you then increase the price directly by €20, the information Amazon is getting is like, oh, that's not $59.99. we don't think that's going to sell anymore for this price, and I'm not going to show this to as many people anymore. So you got to inch it up slowly. I really recommend that. That's what most Chinese sellers do as well, and they are succeeding with it. So I recommend doing that. When you're done here, then, if you want to sell in multiple marketplaces, if you're not just selling in the US, you can make the listings available down here. Sell in France, sell in Italy, sell in Spain. And then you can also, Amazon will translate your listing automatically to the other languages. The translation is not good. Let's just say it's not very good. So I would highly recommend after it translates, you change the price because you have different VAT prices in every country. So you have to change your price accordingly. I would really recommend taking your original listing, throwing it into a proper translator like deepl.com. You can see it up here. Really, really good. Translate with this engine and then update the listings later on the different marketplaces. It's really, really handy to make it a really good translation. It will really help you with your conversion rate. And when you're done, you just hit save and finish. Amazon will give you a change submitted. This can take up to 15 minutes, blah, 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 blah. And you're basically done. Let's see. There you go. Your updates have been submitted. This is our product. This is our ASIN, our SKU. Everything is done. So if I would have uploaded now the pictures and everything, the status here would go to inactive, but not, it's still inactive out of stock, but the picture would be here. That can actually take up to sometimes even a day before the picture shows up. But if it's a new product, it usually is really quick. If you're making changes to a product, it can literally take a day or so. So that's basically it for how to list your first product on Amazon. Thank you for watching.